Frank the Tank, and Zero Cool, and Sean Meister. Getting started here. I just had a program today, had a program yesterday too, and am now beginning to unpack. So I thought perhaps we could do that here, and you can get an update on some of my critters that maybe you haven't seen in a little while. So um, let me know what you think. I see that Yotaro is in here too as well. Good to see you as well. And good evening to you, Sean. All right. This live stream had a little less lead time than some of the others. It's been a really crazy week with all the programs and things going on like that. Jungle Loft, see you here. Chains Worlds as well. Good to see you both in the chat. And here we go. I see we have 6 likes so far. That's nice. Good to see. First creature I'm going to unpack here is our corn snake. Now, unfortunately, he began to manifest being in blue. He's not at the peak of it, but he is kind of in blue. And I probably wouldn't have taken him if I had noticed that right away when we were going to go to the presentations, but I think he'll be okay. I'm going to put him in his enclosure and let him relax now so that he has a chance to shed in peace. I'm really thinking about getting his shed tested to find out if he's really a male or female, because the methods I have used to attempt to determine sex so far have not borne fruit. So, all right. Oh, sorry about the airplane coming by. Let's see. So, Tian herping, I've never kept that species before, so I'm not sure what to tell you there. Never worked with that species at all. So I feel like I can't really give you a good information on that, although I wish I could. But I don't want to pretend like I can when I haven't kept that species at all. So it is a military jet, in fact, Sean. We live not next to, but we live fairly close to military base and Air Force base. And so it's common for them to be flying by. So let's see who else is showing up. I see Laura Taylor, Ruben, Magnificent Animals, Theropod Hunter, Doom Boy, and Sandy Skinks. Yep, Northwest Morphs. Yeah, this is the cool thing about. I was learning about this. I heard about sex determination through shed testing, DNA testing, a while ago, but then I thought it was super expensive, and it's only super expensive if you're testing for morphs. If you're just testing for sex, it's not that expensive. So I'm thinking I'm going to get it done. So what I need to do is carefully watch for the shed, and to keep it from getting too wet, because that can destroy the quality of the DNA, is you take it out as soon as the shed happens. You lay it out somewhere just to dry, and then you put it in a sealed plastic bag, and then you send it to them, and they can do the test. Yotaro, you have 61 eggs. That's corn snake eggs, right? Oh, so Sean, you live next to a military base too. Tian herping, so that species clones itself. That's cool. And Tima, you're right. It's Hill Air Force Base. Okay. So now I'm gonna work with those other critters. I'm gonna start taking them out, and we'll give you a little bit of an update. So here is the first one here. Theropod Hunter raising Emperor Hawk Moths. Awesome. So this is my Steatota grossa. I think it's gross. I think that's the species. My false black widow. You notice the kind of cream colored ventral surface there. Having a hard time focusing. There we go. False black widow. Pretty nice in a program to talk about spiders and talk about mimicry a little bit. This may not be an actual mimic of a black widow, but it looks enough like a black widow that you can at least talk about it. Let's see. And there's 503 as well. All right, I'm going to put this away here. And we'll get something else out. Let's see. Some of this is just containers. I use this to showcase some Daphnia. I use this to showcase some aquatic beetles. And so I need to put these elsewhere. That's what I'm doing right now. Just a second. Be right with you. It's not going to work. I need to move that container here. Okay, so there that goes. All right, so one of the creatures that I brought was this creature. Anybody recognize this guy? Oh, there's Tennyson too. And Mary. So, oh, Mary, Hill Air Force Base is where a lot of the planes and such you here come from. Okay, cool. There's Newberger too. Personal DIY tanks. When they built the tank from the ground up. Yep, this is a water beetle, specifically a Dinutus species. I think it might be Sublineatus, not entirely sure on the species. But the genus is Dinutus is a giant whirligig beetle. So some of you got that. And it is predaceous, so you're right about that, Sean. It has raptorial forelegs. Not great at walking, but it's doing its best to walk. I'm going to go put it in the tank now. This is giant whirligig beetle. It was a great hit at the presentations, the program that I did. Program that I do is called Amazing Arthropods, and it, as you might imagine, mostly features arthropods. I did bring our corn snake because at the beginning I was doing some instruction on how to recognize an arthropod. And we talked about, these are like 5 to 7-year-old kids. For this particular presentation, we talked about how they have joints in their legs and they have their skeleton on the outside of their body, an exoskeleton. And so as part of the kind of the quiz portion, near the end, we reviewed the topics, and I showed them Mr. Skeletal as one of the species to say, is this an arthropod or not, and why, kind of thing. Let's see. In here, I have another water beetle. I want to make sure to take it out without all the other times I've been working with it, it hasn't been hiding so well. So I'm kind of surprised by that. I'm just going to dump it out in here. That's what's good about these containers, right? What's going on? Hopefully I didn't put the 2 beetles in the same container by accident. That would be really dumb if I had done that. Or maybe what I just did is picked up the container that I already emptied, which is very possible. Yep, that looks right, because here is, I just picked up the same container twice. That was dumb. Okay. Oh, cool, Tennyson. You got to do some animal science presentations too. Bet that was fun. There's Jan Ramirez starting the setup for a colony in a few minutes. Nice. Tian Herping collect ornate harvestmen. I have a number of them. I actually have one here with me from the presentation. I have a number of them. They have not been breeding for a while. Some of my adults have passed away, but I have enough to get a colony going. I think I just need to be feeding them more fruit flies, and they'll start breeding again. That seems to be one of the secrets that everybody talks about is make sure you give them enough fruit flies, and then they'll produce well for you. So let's see. So theropod hunter, you know if there are any diving centipede species in the hobby? I don't know. It's a good question. I know that there are diving centipede species. I've seen video footage of it. Like Scolopendra cataracta is the only species I can think of at the moment, unless they've reclassified it. But I don't know if they're in the hobby. I think it would be really cool, but okay. And Jan Ramirez is getting UK pied convexus tomorrow, so prepping everything. Awesome. Great species. Underrated. I love my Ukraine pied. Just posted about those on Instagram recently, in fact. Oh yeah, 503, right. So many beetles in the world. I always take paper towels with me, of course. They come in useful in so many different ways. Here's my UV flashlight. This is my pretty intense one. I've got several. I guess I have 3 of them. I think one just broke finally. But here's some Daphnia that I brought, and I put them in a clear container for viewing, but for traveling, I have them in this container because it seals really well. And then while I was viewing them, I put them in that other plastic critter keeper like I showed you, so it's easy to view them. I'm not going to put these away right now because I have to put them in another room and decide whether or not I'm going to put them in back in the enclosure where I got them from with thousands of other Daphnia, or if I'm just going to feed them off to somebody or something like that. Oh, and Laura Taylor, yeah. These are nice small containers. These isopods came in them when they shipped. I love these. I buy the larger ones, the ones that are this size with the lid in bulk, and I use those for a lot of things. This is I don't remember what the ounces are on this. What is this? Does it say on the bottom? There's something on the bottom. 24. So is this? That's a 24-ounce one, and this one, I don't know if it says on the bottom. I don't see it, how big it is, but I've had various sizes. I like them. Pretty useful. All right. What are we looking at next? Next here. So tea and herping. Will I ever keep ant queens? I have before. I had an ant colony that I started from, put 3 queens together. One of the queens killed the other 2 when it reached a certain point, and the colony lived for like 3 years, produced a ton of babies, workers, and did pretty well for several years. I think that's been like 20-ish years since that. Here is my desert tiger centipede, Scolopendra polymorpha. The southern Arizona locality here. Major WD, hello. And 503, that makes sense. That's probably about 4 ounces. Sorry to hear that you're having those problems, Frank. I hope everything goes well. Yeah, it seems to me that beetles might be a better option for Uromastyx, but it also kind of depends because Uromastyx aren't supposed to eat. Their diet is supposed to be a vegetarian diet, and what if they ate the beetles? I don't know if they would. I don't know how that goes. I haven't worked with Uromastyx at all. Lost my focus. Oh, there's focus. Look at that. It's a pretty beautiful little centipede. A young one, fairly young. It's pretty beautiful, I think. Okay, I'm going to put it back in its enclosure here. Just a second. The enclosure I have it in is, for now, I'm going to set it here. It's got some of the, can't remember what the desert substrate is called, but that's probably kind of hard to see. Maybe you can see it a little bit better here. Tarantula cribs enclosure, really good for centipedes because they can't get out. And at least I've never had a centipede escape from one. And this is that clay that forms, you put it in kind of moist and then put the animal in there and let it dig some burrows, and then it gets really solid. And so it forms these really nice burrows. I really like it. Good stuff. So the centipede has a network of burrows in there, and I'll let it go do its thing. So there's another use for tarantula crib enclosures. Even though I don't have any tarantulas at home, I do have a lot of tarantula cribs enclosures at home. It's like excavator clay, but it's a different brand, but it's basically the same idea. Yeah, Ruben, we actually have the Scolopendra polymorpha in my state too. I have collected quite a number of them in my state, and in California, Arizona, New Mexico, lots of western states. I think they range into Texas and some other states as well. So yeah, it's going to be a 48 by 24 by 24. Oh, sounds like a nice big enclosure. So major WD. I'm not sure what to do about the scratches that form on the tarantula cribs enclosures over time, the sliders at least. I think that's it. I think, Ruben, it's the Exoterra Stone Desert. I think that's the one. And 503, yeah. I think that's the stuff. That's what I used. It was pretty reasonably priced. And I used it for my desert, desert hairy scorpion. Used it for my centipede and I think one or two other critters. Don't remember what else I used it for. Okay, here, one of my Spirostreptus species 1. I think this is my largest adult right now. Nice and big. Do enjoy the Spirostreptus. Have a colony of individuals of various ages. Now, right now it's doing kind of the cinnamon roll shape, but today when I took it out, it did the globular shape, for which it is well known. Kind of fun to see. Horrific dude, hello. Gonna put this back in its enclosure. Its buddies. I recently replaced the substrate in there, part of the substrate. I didn't replace it all at once, but I used some of the BioLive substrate, so it has things like flake soil and rotting hardwood in it. So it's nice and nutritious for millipedes. They are a bit more exacting about their substrate than a lot of isopods are. Here are a couple of beetles from my desert beetle enclosure, my desert beetle multi-species community. One of the blue death feigning beetles, which was kind of a hit, and the diabolical ironclad beetle, also kind of a hit. I did some math and estimated that since these can withstand, the desert ironclad beetles can withstand 39,000 times their own weight in pressure, that would be like approximately 193 city buses on top of me. So crazy. So horrific dude, once it dries out, it's very hard, and it doesn't mean every species is unable to burrow. It's just a lot easier to burrow when it is in the soft state. And depending on the species, some of them are perfectly capable of burrowing when it's hardened, and some are not so capable. Jarrett wins. Welcome. Brachycybe millipedes. I originally had a culture of those a long time ago, been years, and unfortunately, I had kind of a tragedy with it because I misplaced it. It was in a small, it was like a 32-ounce deli cup, and I put it behind something and didn't realize I had done that, and couldn't find it. I looked for it, couldn't find it, and then when I found it, it was too late. It had desiccated, which was horrible. So I felt terrible about that. Um, Still do when I think about that. Not a great day. All right, what have we got here? So horrific dude, you just got a hellburnt diabolical. Those are cool. I really want some of those. See, this is what used to be classified as Vanoni sei or sei. It was recently reclassified. Totally different genus now. Um, I don't remember the genus, to be honest, but Invertebrate Dude was talking about it on the IsoBuddies channel the last time he was on that channel, I believe. Is that when it was? Or was it when he was on my channel? Now I can't remember which one it was, but he was talking about how they've been reclassified. So can't remember the species. There it is. Silver Tears has got it. It's Libetoides. So, yeah, so it's Libetoides sei, I think. Um, thank you for those of you who mentioned that. I have to keep in mind that they've changed the species because I have it in my mind still kind of as Venoni sei, and that's no longer correct. So I need to adjust that in my mind. Cool little creatures. I'm kind of doing an experiment where I have them in with my some bumblebee millipedes, and I'm not sure whether I want to keep doing that or not because I'm not sure if the bumblebee millipedes will eat the eggs of the Libetoides. Ah, see, I just used it right. Nice. Um, how do you breed Florida tailless whip scorpions? I want to breed them. I have never bred tailless whip scorpions. I've gotten close. I had a male and a female Damon diadema that produced spermatothecae, but I didn't never actually get any offspring out of it. I took some of the, a cross section of isopods with me too. Some Japanese Dalmatian, a couple of Gestroi, a nice Porcelia expansus male, a couple of Hoffman's egg eye black to the presentation. So I need to put those away as well. Who decides that animals get reclassified? Yeah, it's a very interesting sort of process, isn't it? And it has a very specific set of rules. They look at, sometimes people look at whether or not two species need to be lumped because they demonstrate that there's not a case for them being different enough, and so they'll lump them together. Or different populations or localities or whatever need to be split because they're different enough to warrant that. Or someone demonstrates that they have characteristics that demonstrate they belong to an already existing group, uh, or there's a senior synonym that takes precedence. There's so many different things to take into account there. This is, of course, my Damon diadema, one of them. I've separated them because they started showing aggression. This one molted recently. The other one hasn't molted quite yet. So it's getting bigger, but still not as big as old Myrtle was. She was huge. Had her for 7 years. She was a lovely thing. And I hope this one lasts at least as long. Captive bred Damon diadema. Kind of hard to come by these days. Found it through Kyle at Roach Crossing, that particular one. Petzotics, hello. The beetle guy. Greetings as well. What is my favorite species in my collection? TN herping? Hard to say. I really don't know that I have a favorite because I like them all so much. These were just some springtails which were fun to show. These are what I used to call and still call by habit Sinella curviceta, but it's actually Secobria, I think. Now, they were good because talking to kids about springtails is actually kind of eye-opening for them, I think. So, had fun doing that. Got to decide where I'm going to put those. Probably not back in their bin. Probably with some other creature. Oh yeah, figuring out the types or locales or clones of morning geckos, that would be nice. Yeah, Gigomorphus rambambichamps. That's probably my favorite pseudo-scientific name out there that Josh created for us, Daiso Buddies. Love it. I think I was there when he coined that term. I brought a few Zoophobus atratus, the superworm, one adult beetle and some larvae. These were one of them that I allowed them to touch. The larvae, not the beetle, because the beetle will spray you with repugnant oral fluid. But they did enjoy interacting with the larvae. I didn't hand them to them because they can nip and it's not painful particularly, but it can be disconcerting. But I did have them touch them on the back while I held it. That was popular during the presentation. So major WD, I have two different kinds of springtails that I use principally and some other kinds that just show up randomly. But mainly I use the what used to be called Sinella curviceta and is now some kind of Cecobria, and I also use Fulsomia candida. My favorite one is Cecobria because they're so good at being in different environments. But the Fulsomia candida have their uses too. This one is Buddy. This is my Phidippus ardens, desert red jumping spider, female. She molted not too long ago, and I think she's probably subadult. She may be adult because she's not tiny anymore. She's not huge, so I'm not sure if she's adult or subadult. So TN Herping, think I should breed isopods and sell them for profit? My friends in my GRQ. What is GRQ? I pardon my ignorance on that. You could, I think, to some extent these days, to make a decent amount of money on isopods, you need to make sure you're competitive. You can make some money, I guess, on isopods, but it can be tricky. It can be tricky because you need to be competitive. Really, you need to be breeding a big variety of species and things like that. But it also depends. If you can find a pet store that will say, "Oh, I'll take as many dwarf whites as you can give me twice a month, and as many powder blues as you can give me twice a month, and whatever," then you can, and maybe as many fancy isopods as when you have them available. If you can do something like that, then that works. Yeah, and 503 is kind of echoing what I was saying about the powder blues and the dwarf whites. That's funny. I haven't bred orchid mantises. I've kept one before. Oh, in your grade. Okay, got it. I see what you're saying. TN herping. It also depends on what kind of marketing, not marketing, what kind of market there is in your age group. Yeah, I wish the Audax kept some of the orange. I think it's gorgeous on this one. There's a bunch of species in this complex. There's Johnsoni and this one and Carneus. I'm gonna try to ease her out of here and see if she'll come out. She was pretty good today at the presentation, but she hates this small container. I'm sure. Need to get her back in her big, nice enclosure. Sorry, I'm jiggling around on the screen here. Just want to kind of see if I can gently coax her out. Are you gonna come out for me? I might just have to leave this enclosure open in her enclosure because I don't want to stress her out too much. But she was a good girl at the presentation. Oh, there's Mr. and Mrs. Morelia. Awesome. Wide flanged isopods that like it moist or humid. Thing that comes to my mind is Oniscus ocellus. So yeah, welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Morelia. Good to see you here. I'm putting this, putting Buddy away right now. Oop, dropped my lid. It's okay. Do love that they have magnets on them. I'm just gonna let her crawl out on her own so she doesn't get stressed. Okay, now let's look at Charlotte Spider. Where she is. Here's Charlotte, my Cuculcania hibernalis, my black hole spider. She is a big one, doing pretty well. I've had her for, I'm trying to decide, I think it's been over 2.5 years maybe. She's doing well. So Doom Boy cherry millipedes. Is that it's one of the Narcissus millipedes? Or are you talking about, is it cherry foot you're talking about? Because there's some millipedes that are called cherry millipedes because they have, they release a cherry-like odor. And then there are some that are called cherry foot millipedes, which is a Narcissus species. So Tennyson, do I have Troglodilo species soil? I don't have that one. And I don't have pill millipedes either. Oh, the ones with the cyanide spray. Yeah, I have not kept any of those, so don't have a lot of information on that. So I love this setup too because it's so easy to see her. And I often joke with the kids when I do the presentations. I'm going to show you Charlotte's Web, and then I do, and I show them Charlotte too. Uh, Now, if you haven't seen these cobweb castles, Cobweb Castle is a company. Spider Keep is the enclosure. They're pretty cool because in the back you can just lift up um, this door in the back. Sorry, I know I'm jiggling a little bit, and then you can see their little hide in the back. Check them out there. You don't want to do it too often because you want them to be able to feel secure back there in the dark. But once in a while, especially if you can't see them from the front, you can just pop open this. And sometimes at presentations, I will toss a cricket in here and she'll eat it for the audience, which is pretty cool. And sometimes I'll bring a video, like today, I brought a video of it just in case she didn't do it, and I showed them the video, which is cool. But they always get to see her because whether she's in the front or the back, she's easy to show. So I like that about it. Okay, now I just have one more, and then we're gonna stop. And yeah, Major WD, thank you for contacting your senator about the Lacey Act amendments. We need to keep doing that. Whoa, Suthophilus Chiricahua, you have 150 or 200? Nice. Okay, now I'm going to show you this last creature in the box and then I got to go. But this, you don't see this one often on the channel. My Asian forest scorpion. Now it's always a bit hit with the UV light. It's kind of out of focus. I'm trying to figure out why that is the case. But yeah, they really enjoyed the Asian forest scorpion today. All right, I'm going to set that down. Put her hide back so it doesn't get stressed. And it is about time for me to wrap up, everybody. So thank you so much. And I'm going to head out, but I'll see you soon. Next week, we have an interview about taxon-specific reptile venom and about venomous lizards. So that should be pretty cool. That's next week. And check out my video, my isopod video that's coming out this Friday. And thank you to everybody for showing up. We'll catch you later.